Proper story is supposed to start at the beginning. Ain't so simple with this one. Now here's a kid whose whole world got all twisted, leaving him stranded on a rock in the sky. He gets up, sets off for the Bastion, where everyone agreed to go in case of trouble. Ground forms up under his feet as if pointing the way. He don't stop to wonder why. Finds his lifelong friend just lying in the road. Well, it's a touching reunion. He sees what's left of the rippling walls, years of work undone in an instant, in the Calamity. That a survivor? No, ma'am. It's a gas fella, forced out from underground. Kid pops him good. Starts to feel his bruises, though. An old repeater falls out of the sky. Ain't a gift from the gods, but it'll have to do. Gotta hold her still to spin up the chamber. Kid's worked up quite a thirst by now, so that fountain looks real inviting. Sometimes you just need a drink. A school of squirts tunnels up around them. Must have fled here from the mines. Kid finds a memento from a girl he knew. Always used to fancy her. He sets foot inside one of Zealandia's famous watering holes. Inside's old Rondi, the bartender. The Calamity got him for his drinking did. Then Kid finds his trusty shield. The security takes him for a petty thief. Clang. Shield saves his hide. Windbags start turning up for last call. More squirts start coming out of the woodwork. A big old fella pops out in front of the kid. Them windbags are playing for keeps. Kid sees the way to the Bastion out the window. It's a bit of a drop. He gets a good look at things on his way down. He lands on top of a breaker's bow, and it ain't broke. Wasn't long before the kid could loose an arrow, strong and true. Kid spies a good perch for some target practice. He knows he should draw the string all the way back. Right back at you. An old ferry barge sends the kid on his way. The Bastion's real close now. takes a chunk of alloy. Smell of barley and spoiled blueberries fills the air. Scumbags. Kid maybe shouldn't have done what he just did. Robs a scumbag of his last meal. Kid puts him out of his misery. He finds the core to the Wharf District. He steals the city's heart. Might as well. Kid has a feeling he better get a move on. The place is starting to fall. See, that core Kid took was the only thing making this particular rock stay afloat. At last, the skyway's in sight. Whisks him where he needs to go. Now the kid sees something stranger still. His mind races. Did anybody else survive? Sure enough, he finds another. He finds me. We talk for a spell. There's a bit of the Bastion's power in that crest, enough to point the way to the cores. I try to let the kid down gently. This is the Bastion, all right, except no one else showed up. All I tell him is to set that core of his on the monument there, then watch. And just like that, the Bastion comes alive. Starts growing again, growing stronger. Kid's gotta put its power to good use. Now the Bastion can send him even farther into the wild unknown. Kid don't know what's out there waiting for him. The Skyway. Now the kid can ride the wind to distant lands. Now he lands at the intersection between bad and wrong. Ought to be a core down one of these twisted streets, but which one? Scumbag can digest just about anything, except for this. It's quick for slicing and light enough to throw. They say even the most rambunctious squirts can be tamed. Squirts don't make the best of friends, but they can be useful in a pinch. No sign of the core here. At least the kid got something for his trouble. Some scumbag still feeding off the city's own trash. And there he is. The oldest scumbag of them all, Gershel. But Calamity ain't done much for Gershel's sunny disposition. No core, no surprise. Like the gas fellas are hiding it from him. Up north is where the gas fella foreman used to live, tending to his flock. why gas fellas all dress alike. Kids wondering the same thing. And there it is, but it's locked down tight in an alloy cage. A blustery old foreman's keeping his fellas in check, almost like he's showboating for the crowd. And now there's a new marshal in town. He hears the whole place groan, but it's too tough to fall. He comes back, just like I knew he would. The core hums in his pack. The monument's calling for it. The windbags used to be alright, then the Calamity took the floor out from under him. Kid does it again. Only fair he decides what we build next. Picked up traces of other cores while the kid was out. In better days, the melting pot was sealed tighter than the skin on a squirt. Of all the plans to survive the Calamity, it had to be stab weeds. Blasted things hurt like a broken heart. If there's a core, he figures it ought to be deeper down. Core stuck inside one of those fancy cages. He throws a switch. Now what could possibly go wrong? Quite a bit, as it turns out. The cage starts lifting from the core ever so slow. All Kid can do is wait. Shipments start falling in. Judging by the movement of the cage, it's gonna take a little while. At this rate, maybe 5 more minutes, maybe 30, hard to tell. Squirts get real territorial around the core. A few moments left, and the core goes free. 10. 9, 8, 7, give or take a few seconds. Finally, the core's within reach. And done. He's got it. Just gotta get to the nearest barge. I still remember the look on his face after that one. The old world's finished, but the new world's just getting started. Folks voyaged across the boundless sea to found Celandia. It was good living here for a while. Couples used to walk the sundown path. Kid ain't here for pleasure, though. But then, somebody gets to the core before the kid. The floor starts giving way under the lightest step. Well, the path ain't exactly open to visitors no more. Security's all fired up. See, the path was intended for leisurely strolling and such. Not so much for noise and tomfoolery. Sky bridges link the path together. One of them bridges whips the kid along. Finds a spyglass, like the ones they'd used to search the stars. Air travel always was an iffy proposition. But Calamity changed everything, even where the wind blows. Well, if we mastered the winds in the old days, we can do it again. But the question is, who else could have taken the core? Well, ain't no survivor stole the thing. Scumbag ate it by mistake. Tough break. Unlike the kid, that core ain't coming back. In all this toil, Kid keeps coming back to an overwhelming question. Who else could have survived the Calamity? So he didn't find the core that time, but that ain't about to stop us. We could always see the stars, we just never could reach them, no matter how high we built. The dead welcome him with open arms. The Calamity took everybody after all. Kid sees it plain, frozen faces all around. These folks never saw the Calamity coming, but someone did. Someone close. It was someone like him. Kid sees him there agape, in the flesh. It's a snag or two trying to get to him. He ain't about to stop, no matter what. He's got so many questions after all. Just ain't got time for answers. The Thunder brothers didn't make it. They never saw what it was like beyond the walls. Nor did the Bird Boy. Didn't make it. The Jawsons, they didn't make it. Grady Sr., Grady Jr., they didn't make it. But him, he survived. Kid finds proof enough that man ain't from around here. Just think, without that man, we wouldn't be here right now, would we? The core survives as well. Kid does what he has to do. And then? What do you say to a man who's seen too much? Kid hasn't a clue, but he says this. We have to go. Please. He's a proper gentleman, that man. His name is Zolf. No hiding he's an Ura. Folks like him ain't never been a common sight in Caelandia. He's relieved to see a living face or two. The kid and I introduce ourselves in kind. Both to him and to each other for the first time. For Zolf, Caelandia was like his second home. He's real worried about his first home too. Far to the east. We all lost loved ones in the Calamity, he says. I don't know how I'm gonna go on without mine. Zolf offers to help me plot the skyways for the kid. At least the Calamity hasn't touched the stars, he says. He was born in the Tazzle terminals. The Ura sent him on a mission of peace to our city, and he's lived here ever since. We fought the Ura decades ago, but that was then. Things are different between us now. The cores, they remember. That's why this place is coming together. That's why things are gonna be all right. We tracked down a couple more cores near the edge of the city. The less said about the gods, the better. Kid says a little prayer anyway. Couldn't hurt, right? Pith Orchard. The place is a dead end in more ways than one. Folks used to make pilgrimage here to pay their respects to Pith, the bull. Well, the gods are long gone now, and the Orchard core is long gone too. Seems Pith ain't much of a watchdog. The gods don't care about trinkets, but the kid ain't no god. Pith stood for something once. Something real. In time, though, the bull stopped being a symbol and started being decoration. Pith makes a decent scarecrow, at least. Then Pith lights up like a rodeo. Must have been guarding that shrine. Kid don't need favors from the likes of Pith. Well, if the gods are alive, They must be plenty sore. Kid ain't found a core, but at least he found Zolf's precious shrine. Now we can build a shrine of our own, though I got some alternatives in mind. Zolf doesn't touch the thing. Says the god of commotion is no children's toy. The Ura feared the gods. We turned them into toys, put their faces on our walls. There's only one way in the cinder brick fort. The hard way. Sure, the city marshals may be gone, but now the fort's crawling with windbags. The Calamity was mercy for normal folks. The windbags ain't so lucky. They've been left to freeze or starve. Or face the kid. Well, windbags young and old keep fighting for the fort. At least the marshals left the kid a parting gift. Something the windbags just can't handle. Something that'll punch clean through their greasy hides. Windbags ain't much different from normal folks. All they want's a warm place to stay and a decent meal. The Calamity drove the windbags topside. A lot of them wound up here in this very fort. Could have been minding the business underground like in the old days. Cinder brick gave him enough heat and metal to munch on for a while. Well, the fort ain't theirs by right. Can't blame them for wanting it, though. They trapped the kid in the middle of the fort's parade grounds. Then they bring out Glutus and Glandon and all their scumbag uncles. They got something to gain, and only their sorry hides to lose. The uncles go out with a whimper. Kid takes down Glutus, or maybe it was Glandon. The windbags finally get the message. Kid used to dream of getting a marshal's badge, but not like this. The Skyway's a welcome sight after all that. And now ain't nothing left for nobody down at Cinderbrick Fort. Kid shows up just as Zulf's telling me about his own journey to the city. Seems the only thing the Calamity saved for Zulf was a smoking pipe. The marshals seem like good men, he says. They treated him with dignity. Zulf brought his antique smoking pipe all the way from the terminals. Poor kid collapses after just one drag. The past. Only good thing ever come out of the past is history. The past catches up with the kid. Hardly had a moment's rest since all this started. Fair to say he's led a hard life, supposing what he says in his sleep ain't no lie. He never knew his old man, but he had his mama to take care of. Frail thing with pure white hair like his. Having his mama's hair did the kid no favors while he was growing up, but he learned to hold his own out there. School ain't working out, so the kid signs up for a turn on the rippling walls. Make his mama some money. Thanks to folks like the kid, the walls kept Ceylondia safe from whatever's out there. The elements, the Ura, you name it. Once the kid done his time, he hurried on home. Turns out his mama's time was done too. The city had nothing for him. The money he'd been sending home was nowhere to be found either. So what'd the kid do? Why, he went right on back to the walls for another 5 years. In the history of Ceylondia, nobody's ever volunteered for a second shift on the walls. Out there, kid learned to fend for himself, learned to build, learned to break. In time, the kid earned good standing with the marshals. They trusted him to scout out farther than anybody. One night, on one of his expeditions, the ground beneath him shuddered, cracked, and split apart. He saw nothing where the world used to be. The Calamity happened just like that. All the kid had to work with was his hammer and the clothes on his back. Through twisted streets, he ran with nothing but the city crest and an old stranger's voice to guide him. Finally arrived at Caelandia's vaunted safe haven. He and no one else. But then, all he got was more thankless work from a man who ain't even asked his name. Sure, I may be the one who dreamt up the walls and the Bastion, but the kid made him real, not me. I'd like to say I'll never forget him, or what he's doing, what he's done. I surely would. Even since the Urus surrendered to us, the marshals kept a wary eye on him. Zolf's travels ain't much compared to what the kids had to go through for all this. The Langston River flowed free and wild till the Calamity drank it all up. Maybe all that water just grew wings and flew off. Riverbanks swarming with windbags. They're so bent on finding the core they hardly notice the kid. Lucky for him, a certain famous ferry barge is still afloat. Weepin' Nellie. She'll send some squirts crying home as she leaves port. Maybe Nellie knows the way to the core. Maybe she can slip right past all the clamor on the coast. Or maybe not. A security skiff pulls up portside. Nellie's just another windbag to those guns. Just then, the windbags notice who she's sailing with. They're pretty steamed about what happened at Cinderbrick. They try to slow her down. They try to knock her out. Well, Weepin' Nellie tries harder. Try as she might, though, she hits a snag. Kid's gotta help her get untangled. Favors for favors. At least she picked a good spot for a break, 'cause the core's right there. Then the kid hears an unusual sound, like 100 flapping wings. peckers. They've been watching us every move. They had their own eyes on the core. But why? Well, kid ain't got time to think it over just yet. He finds Weeping Nellie raring to go. Turns out she's got a special surprise for when the waters get rough. She's gonna need a little help with all them peckers. Crafty things think they're king of the roost now. Rest of us only wish we could fly in times like these. The windbag's getting an even better idea. They aim to smash Weeping Nellie to splinters. Well, it all proves too much for poor Nellie. Just gotta make one last stop. With her last breath, Nellie gets the kid to solid ground. Solid ground in pecker country. They want that core real bad. Might be they want it just as bad as a kid. Know how many times kid nearly fell off the barge back there? A good couple of times. Now, listen close. You should remember this next part. Why go to Prosper Bluff? Used to take an enterprising man or a plain old fool to venture out that far. The city was the most beautiful place in the world. We all knew that. But on the other hand, some folks just yearn to see the things they're told they can't. And that's why you go to Prosper Bluff, ain't it? There the kid hears something he ain't heard in a long while. How's it go again? Yeah, that's the one. Well, no point explaining what happens next, right? Suffice it to say, kid ain't coming home empty-handed. And besides, it's like the song goes. They'll be here before too long. We darn near celebrated when the kid got back, didn't we? Zolf never thought he'd see a fellow or again. We become fast friends. Calamity has that effect on people. But there was more to be done. There was one last core to find. A scientific journal written in Zolf's native tongue. He learned so much from it. Too much. If only I'd known half the secrets of the Calamity were tucked away in that book, I'd have worked to translate it right away. Most of the Ura never got a taste of Ceylondia's fine goods, unless they were born and raised in the city like Zia here. Sure, the world's all gone to pieces farther than the eye can see, but leave it to this gal to point out the amazing view. Girl tried to run away from home one time, but the marshals stopped that, didn't they? So many secrets in there and she can't even read it. Her father's own journal. We tracked the final core beyond the city to the wilds. In time, we charted the wild unknown, but we kept the name. Place is so raw, even the Calamity couldn't cook it. Not all of it. Know what's better than having a slinger pistol in a fight? Having two. Savage things lurking at every turn. Kids faster than a slinger with those guns. Pecker's got the core, like they're building a bastion of their own. The welcoming committee scrambles to attention. Didn't expect the kid so soon. They shouldn't have let their guard down. Getting that core was one thing. Getting out's gonna be another. He digs his way out of the clearing, but the wilds won't let him go without a fight. Wallflowers survived the Calamity. It toughened him up. Same goes for the kid. Kid's roused up half the wilds by now. Then kid gets the feeling he's being watched. Not by me, by a lunkhead. And lunkheads ain't fond of two-legged animals. Hit him anywhere but the hindquarters and you only make him mad. He's anxious to get back. After all, he's got the final core. His journey's over, right? Well, no, it ain't. Not by a long shot. Kid knows something's up when we ain't there to give a warm welcome. See, Zolf and I were just wrapping up a heated discussion. Zolf can barely muster the words. The Calamity failed, he says, but I will not. And with that, Zolf leaves us here, alone. Zolf cursed the city, cursed the Bastion, cursed me, said he was going home. When Zolf got through reading that journal, he just snapped, started smashing up the monument till I tried to stop him. Zolf banged up the monument pretty bad. But there's a way to put her back together. The shards. We're gonna need all of them to nurse the Bastion back to health. The city brought the shards to the wilds. Now the kid's gonna bring them back. After Zolf's little episode, Kid sets off in search of shards. First stop, Jawson Bog. You'll get lost in that bog, I told the kid, and I won't be able to guide you back. Well, I let him go. What else could I do? What could any of us do? Zolf put us in a real bind. Hurt the Bastion bad. But the shards can make it better. They're like smaller doses of the core's medicine. Shame the only place to fill that prescription is out here in the wilds. This place is intoxicating. Don't know where he's gone. Might be gone for good for all I know. Wherever he is, it's somewhere I've never been. Somewhere I never want to go. The dead welcome him with open arms. Kid pops him good. That a survivor? No, ma'am. It's a lonesome ghost of a gas fella. What do you say to a kid who's seen too much? I'm Zolf of the Ura. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Now the kid sees something stranger still. Did anybody else survive? Sure enough, he finds peckers, lunkheads, wallflowers, pincushions, vine apples, swamp weeds, ankle gators. Now the Bastion can send him even farther into the wild unknown. Kid sets foot inside one of Ceylondia's famous watering holes. He has the nerve to flash the shield he stole. He's a petty thief. The security's just beginning to straighten him out. Kid succeeds where the Calamity failed. Would you look at what he did to poor old Rondi the bartender? Proper story's supposed to start at the beginning. It's so simple with this one. Now here's a kid whose whole world's alright, snoozing there on a rock in the sky. He wakes up. I'm just fooling. He sees what's left of the rippling walls. Years of work undone in an instant. He sees what's left of Pith, the bull. The gods, they're all undone. He sees what's left of his lifelong friend. His friend, he he's come undone too. He sees what's left undone. Thought we'd lost him, but he finally comes to. The shard ain't lost either. Not anymore. Now to find a ticket out of this hole. Bootlickers dig their nasty thorns into his heels. Ever heard of the lung blossom? It's bigger than the stories say. The breath on that thing, like a scumbag sprung a leak. They say one whiff of lung blossom can make you lose your mind. Well, the kid prunes it down to size somehow. Mother only knows what happened in the bog. Kid never much cared to speak of it. A shard is like a poor man's core, but beggars can't be choosers. That's it. A few more shards like that, and we'll be back in business. A single shard can breathe new life into this place. The city tried to use the shards to stake out the wilds. So much for that plan. Ankle gators used to roam the wilds, and they nested at Rothus Lagoon. Many a tale folks used to scare their children straight originated here. They used to think that ankle gators were extinct. Well, they ain't. One of them's been living in the tall grass. They called her Queen Anne. Turns out Queen Anne got a hold of a shard. Ankle gators love shiny things. The lagoon's got plenty of other dangers, of course. Can't fight Queen Anne without the proper tools. The brushers use their pikes to keep their distance around here. Now the kid can do the same. They say you can't hurt an ankle gator unless it's raining. And it ain't raining. Sharp sticks make Queen Anne nervous, so she backs off a bit. Queenie leads the kid into some kind of twisted trap. One bad step in that tall grass and he's Queen Anne's lunch. He holds his ground. Seems the Queen's running out of options. Ankle gators don't much care for their young. That's why there ain't many around. Wanna know how to find an ankle gator lair? You use a kid as bait. Now she's coming for him. She's got nowhere else to go. The shards sitting in plain view. They say if you run across an ankle gator, you better keep running. She's starting to get annoyed. And now he's made her mad. Rest in peace, Queen Anne. That was for the brushers. He's got it, and he's home free. Kid's done what needed to be done. Queen Anne's reign is over. We even got a crown jewel. That gator's a crazy gal, but so's the gal who promised to look after her. They said Queen Anne was just a folktale. Now there's living proof she ain't. All that trouble for a single shard, but you know what? It was worth it. The next shard should be farther out there in the wilds. Know how Calamity became the richest city in the world? 2 words. Point Lemaine. If the wilds could ever be tamed, it was gonna happen right here. But now, the greatest outpost past the city line is nothing but a freak show. The army's triggers once had the place on lockdown. Kid might as well pick up where they left off. Blam! Just like my fighting days. Gun like that can even put the wilds in check. Point Lemaine seen better days for sure, but it ain't done. Whole place shudders in a fit. The grand rail of Point Lemaine, not only is it still there, it still works. Of course, it's no longer shipping hides and alloys and spices, but it can give the kid a lift. Just as long as he can stay clear of the trouble on the tracks. The grand rail's all grown over with things the Calamity chewed up and spat out. Things eager to take back their turf. Kid don't let so much as one of those things slip by. course, the Grand Rail's seen much more fighting in bygone times. Near on 50 years ago, first shots fired in the Ura-Celandian War. It was right here that Zulf's Ura forefathers decided to mix it up. Okay, so maybe we didn't get their sign-off on the whole Grand Rail thing. That was bad. The rail must have shook the Ura to the bone down in those dens of theirs. Well, the rail won't last much longer now that the kid took the shard. It's still got one good run in store for him, though. Ever tried dancing side to side while holding your breath? While shooting a genuine registered armored carbine? While choking on swamp weed? While peckers trying to prick you in the eye? Well, let me tell you, it ain't fun. But then, at last, it's the end of the line. He'll be picking swamp weed out of those boots for days. Turns out he's got company up at the rail station, waiting for him. Not just another wallflower or pincushion, mind you. At first, he thinks it's Zulf. "This is for you," says the man. Then wham! When the kid comes to, the man's long gone, but something else is there. The only words Kid recognizes on that parchment are for Zia. Well, what's a kid to do? He took the shard, he took the hit, and he took that note. That note cuts straight to the heart of things, don't it? The note says it plain. Zia, go east to learn the truth about the Calamity and our people. I'll be waiting. Sincerely, Zulf. Zulf's messenger was one of his people. Wondered just how many of them survived, and what exactly Zulf told him. It ain't too late to unlock the potential of this place. Finding gourmet ingredients ain't easy these days, but we'll take what we can get. Kid arrives just in time to sample Zia's famous cooking. He wolfs down too much too fast, and it all goes to his head. I've said a lot about the kid, but he ain't the only one wrapped up in all this. What's he thinking? Well, let me see if I got this straight. I only heard it once. Once there was a normal Ura girl, but she wasn't born in the Tassel terminals like the rest of her people. She was from Ceylondia. Her folks were orphaned in the war, taken in and raised inside the city, on condition they would never return to the terminals. Ura refugees who came into the city had to stay for life. It was a way to reduce the risk of city secrets leaking out. Her mama passed away from birthing complications, leaving the girl trapped inside that city with no one but her father. Her father was sharper than a brusher's pike, so he got a job working for the city's mancers. His daughter barely saw him. Her father told her nothing of her Ura heritage. He told her nothing of the Mansers. It's for your own good, he said. She took to studying the arts, learned more through music than history books, gained a knack for strings and songs. At first, she tried to be like other girls, but her classmates spread word that her father was an Ura trader, selling out the city. One young man stood up for her, or so he led her to believe. He knew much of her heritage, and she grew fond of him. The young man convinced her to take him to her family den to meet her father. Spoke of how he wanted to meet a man from the terminals. When the young man greeted her father in the Ura's native language, her father flew into a fit of rage and threw them out. The young man never told her that the Ura's native language is not to be used by foreigners. To do so is a terrible insult. It was then that she decided to escape. The two of them could flee the city together and go to the Tassel terminals. They would hide inside a garbage bin until it got ingested by a scumbag, then let him slosh on out of the city for disposal. Almost succeeded, but the authorities were already there when that scumbag sidled up to the city walls. The young man had sent the authorities a tip, told him her father was using her to sell secrets to the Tassel terminals.
Someday those tears are gonna spill. So build that wall and build it strong, 'cause we'll be.
She and her father were arrested for treason, But her father got a deal. Return to work for the Mansers, and she'd go free.
Gonna build that wall up to the sky. Gonna build that wall up to the sky.
Before they parted ways for the last time, her father whispered a desperate plea. Hurry home to the den and lock yourself in.
Build that wall until the sky. But now I don't remember. Build it strong, 'cause we'll be there for too long. I dig my hole, you build a wall. I dig my hole, you build.
She did as she was told, and deep down underground inside that den, she found a journal written in her father's hand.
Gonna fall. Gonna build that city on a hill. Someday those tears are gonna spill.
The next day, the door to the den turned to ash. The girl came up for air, and she saw the calamity all around her. When the kid wakes up, his world's still in pieces, just the way he left it. The shards are getting harder to find. Not everything blew up in the Calamity. Why Colford Cauldron here blew up way ahead of its time. The cauldron boiled over some 300 years ago. They say it filled the skies with ash and the lakes with molten rock. If you wanted to survive something like that, you had to learn to adapt. So in a way, the beasts of the wilds, they're all survivors too. It takes a certain stubborn pride to keep on living in a place like this. As for us, we learned an awful lot from Colford Cauldron. That learning led to some interesting inventions. The raw power of the world fell right into our hands. Can't fault our people for their natural curiosity now, can you? Playing with the cauldron's fires became an addiction. Sure, we dusted off a good many secrets out here, but we discovered other things we're better off not knowing. The unforgiving scent of sulfurous dirt. The taste of air so hot it sticks to your lungs. All sorts of awful things crawling underfoot. You can cook those things, but you can't eat them. Never thought we'd find so much life in all that ash. The more ash we swept aside, the more life we found. We kept on sifting through the cauldron's secrets anyway. Place as inhospitable as they come. But still we pressed on. After all, when we looked down inside Colford Cauldron, looked down through all the smoke and flames, we saw in there the heart of the world, the heart now laid bare by the Calamity. We had to have it. As for the kid, he just has to get that shard out of there. Too bad taking that thing woke up every last stink eye from here to Jocelyn Bog. Kid's thinking he's got to trek all the way back around the cauldron. Luckily, the cauldron cooked up a little shortcut for him. With a good spyglass, you could still see the cauldron from the city. But all the fires died out. There's nothing left of it. It comes back looking like the inside of a chimney. We're all a little short on friends these days, so that's a welcome sight. They said the wild could never be tamed, if only they could see us now. The shard works like a charm. You can hear the monument's heartbeat again. We spotted a pecker carrying a shard to Mount Zand. Can't rightly call Mount Zand a mountain anymore. There's no more mountains now. There's no place left for the beasts of the wild to go. We only found that little lair because they found themselves a little shard. The creatures of the wild, they've been building a bastion of their own. But they ain't yet prepared for any company. They even dragged their children into this. Without a doubt, the situation stinks. Best thing we can do for those beasts right now is put them down quick and clean. Besides, we have to take back what's ours. What the city left behind, those beasts took for themselves. Look at it this way, it's either them or us. But if we win, they win too. Our bastion is everybody's game, not just ours. Unfortunately, there's no explaining that to a simple beast. Those beasts been hard at work fixing up the place. They've rounded up their survivors, just like we have. They've been searching for cores and shards, just like we have. Maybe they've thought about turning back, just like we have. We just really need their shard. Kid got it fair and square. That's the way. He's done what's best for him, don't you worry. Don't you worry. We'll all be better off once the Bastion is complete. Fixed that thing right up, didn't we? Made these goings-on a little livelier. Suppose it's true a little song can put things in perspective. The monument's getting better. Zolf sure did a number on it, though. Just a couple shards left. The quarry's gotta have one, right? Imagine everything you'd need to build a city like Zealandia. It takes hard work and planning, and it also takes burstone quarry. The Ura tunnels beneath the quarry must have softened the blow from the Calamity. We bought the whole place from the Ura on the cheap. Same goes for its natives, Rattletails. Rattletails ain't the worst of it either, but more about that in a little bit. Windbags smaller than the naked eye can see are nesting in those rocks. Not only are these rocks a source of life, we found that the oldest ones remember things. They're recording everything, all the time, taking it all in. No wonder all those beasts were drawn to the quarry. The rocks were calling them. Keeping the quarry free from pests turned out to be a problem. Rattletails kept tunneling in to snack on windbags. Windbags tended to the rocks, so we had to keep the rattletails at bay. Without those windbags, the quarry might not have its special qualities. Now, why would the Ura sell off such a fascinating place? The Ura always were a superstitious lot. Might be the gods told him the quarry's bad news. On top of that, you know the Ura hated anything above ground. Might be the quarry just got too much sunshine for their liking. In any case, it's fair to say the quarry was a godsend. Those rocks, all polished to a mirror sheen. The largest ones, you know as cores. A single core could keep the lights on in an entire city district. The smaller ones, we call them shards. A shard's got a fraction of a core's power, enough to fuel a voyage to the motherland. Well, now the quarry's all dried up. These rocks are much too young to be of use. Remember how I said rattletails ain't the worst thing in the quarry? That honor goes to a beast we took to Colin, Sir Lunky. Massive thing stomped many of our boys. We just couldn't get rid of him. We never could get stubborn old Lunky to leave the quarry alone. The only thing harder than the rocks in Burstone Quarry is Sir Lunky's head. Then the kid hears a voice calling from down the hall. Are you all right? It says. It's him. I've come to warn you, he says. The Bastion is under siege. Let it fall. You should not go back. Kid hears him, but he ain't about to be deterred. If that's the way it is, he says, then I won't stop you. Because my countrymen will. Say what you will about Zulf, but he's a man of his word. His countrymen don't much care for pleasantries, though. Zulf showed him the way here, and here they came to take revenge. They got inside the Bastion and shut the door. Kid's gotta go in through the back. I should have told him sooner about all this. To make matters worse, seems the Ura took the girl. Unfortunately, they broke in, and they started digging their holes. Something wrong sprung out of those holes, and it's eating away at this place. We tried to stop them, but we needed help. Somehow, some way, he sends those Ura packing. Problem is, it didn't matter. Zulf's plan worked. We find each other as the dust settles. Then I tell him why the Ura came. To get us back. For the Calamity. It was Ceylandia's master plan to wipe the Ura out. But part of that plan backfired, didn't it? If only Zulf knew the whole story. What were we to think? They must have got her, taken her back to her rightful home. The shards can put this disease in remission, but there's only one cure. We need to finish what we started. The Ura swooped down from the east. At least now we know the way. One last shard. It's all we need to put this mess behind us. And mother, what a mess it is. A mess like that could have only been made by hand. Zolf said the Calamity failed, and he's right. The Uras stand as living proof of that. At the heart of the Calamity was a simple idea. We never wanted to go to war again. We wanted to rule it out. We put a lot of folks against that problem. Scientists, soldiers, spies, even me. We sought solutions far beyond the city. We traveled near as far as the kids go right now. Most of our efforts didn't bear fruit. Then there was a breakthrough, but it didn't come from one of our people. It came from an Ura, a brilliant young scientist named Ven. Ven worked for the Mancers, the sharpest knives in the city's drawer. With his help, the Mancers devised a way to seal the Ura tunnels shut in a flash. Just like that, every last Ura living in the Tassel terminals will be gone. This discovery was never to be used, they said, except as a last resort. But Ven didn't like being manipulated. He had plans of his own. He sabotaged the Mancer's little science project, set it to blow up in their faces. Imagine how Ven must have felt when they finally made him pull that trigger. But remember, the Bastion can fix everything. We just need that shard. Too bad the Ura ain't exactly been willing to collaborate on that front. For now, Kid had little choice but to pick up where the Calamity left off. First things first, though. There's someone we figured needed rescuing. Zia. The Ura fell back, no doubt planning the next move, but we knew ours already. There's something we had to do before going after that last shard. Well, now it's personal, ain't it? It's personal for him, and it's personal for me. They never saw him coming. He gets his hands on the care package I sent him. It's a little something I've been fixing up in my spare time. The Ura found a way to keep the Calamity from spreading through Sultan's Hollow. Kid has to put a damper on their plans. They've got these conductors that are all what's keeping the place together. Break enough of those things and the Calamity rocks slink back into the ground. Those rocks are like tumors, the same kind the Ura planted in the Bastion. Well, the Ura must be in a panic right about now. By now, every Ura from here to the terminals must know he's in town. Kid returns their greeting tenfold. Most of the Ura's conductors are squared away in the middle of the hollow. They're easy targets. Those Calamity rocks must be eating that place apart from the inside. The Ura keep hanging on to their barricade. After all, their homeland's not much farther. Some of them are downright bewildered by what's happening. Maybe they know they've lost this, lost to a kid. They underestimated us, had us pegged all wrong. Yes, our people caused the Calamity, but here we are trying to fix it. Shame the opportunity for civilized discourse is over. Suppose old Zolf should have got to know us better. Maybe I should have trusted him, told him everything I knew. Zolf, the Ura, they have every reason to be angry. Beyond angry. But when this is all over, it'll all be water under the bridge. He sees the Tazzle terminals loom large on the horizon. There's nothing standing in his way no more. All those dreams snuffed out in the Calamity. We'll bring them back. Way out there on the edge of the world, that's where he finally finds you. But it ain't like Prosper Bluff this time. Ain't nothing for this gal to sing about now. Zia, you weren't kidnapped. No, ma'am. You just had to see what happened to the Ura. To your own people. You had to see if everything Zolf wrote to you was true. Sure you didn't drop that twangy thing on purpose? Just to see if he'd go after you? They lost everything, didn't they? But they just keep on fighting like that's gonna bring it all back. I don't need to see what happened to the Ura. I'm trying to undo it, remember? Part of the rippling walls floated by, so I caught the kid's old knapsack. It's hard to sleep easy these days, what with everything that's happened. Zolf, very soon the kid's gonna have to face that man again. For the last time. They met on the worst day of Zolf's life. There in the Hanging Gardens, he aimed to throw it all away. It wasn't the first time Zolf had nothing to lose. He was born to a simple Ura couple who didn't last long before plague took him. He grew up hungry in the tunnels of the Tazzle terminals, so he took to stealing from a Ceylandian missionary living there. He once got sloppy with his thieving hands. The missionary caught him, but didn't rat him out. Instead, he offered to take him in. That missionary raised Zolf like a gentleman, like he was his own son. Taught him theology, history, and mercy. When the missionary passed away, Zolf promised to continue his work to bring about a lasting peace between the Ura and Ceylandia. Zolf started teaching the missionaries wisdom to any Ura who would listen, and listen they did. He advocated tolerance and argued that the Ura should atone for the war. He believed the city had much to teach his people. However, Zolf felt he could only do so much in the Tazzle terminals. He needed Ceylandia to know the Ura had changed. He decided to do what the missionary did many years before. He left the city of his youth to brave a savage land. The journey was hard, but he knew how to fend for himself. And then at last, Zolf saw the rippling walls on the horizon. He endeared himself to city folk straight away, and in turn he fell in love with the city and its people. One in particular. This young lady was fascinated by the Ura, but she never met anyone like Zolf. She told him she knew all the city's best-kept secrets. The Hanging Gardens was their favorite spot. It was there that Zolf clasped her hands and proposed in proper Ceylandian style. He celebrated with his friends long into the night. Joy and revelry like he'd never seen. Too bad he couldn't remember it all. He woke up alone underground inside the Ura Ceylandian War Memorial, built like an Ura den. But something was wrong. He emerged from that hole in the ground into a waking nightmare. Everything that wasn't gone was twisted upside down. The world was frozen, air thick with ash. What few faces he saw on the street stared back at him with gray and vacant eyes. He found his wife-to-be asleep inside her home, but when he reached out to her, she joined with all the ashes in the sky. And so Zolf returned to where he proposed in the Hanging Gardens, and there he stood, as if the gods would answer him. The kid's gonna be okay. As for that man, who knows? Once the kid gets that last shard from Zolf, it'll all be over. I can't hear him at all anymore. He's too far away. But he'll be all right. Just needs to get that shard from Zolf and come on home. The Calamity hit the Tazzle terminals hardest of all. You know why Zolf went back there. The place was his home. All his old friends and family were there. Taken by the Calamity. Zolf must be there all alone, just waiting. You know what's funny? Well, all of us are waiting for a kid. Look around. There's not much left to do here in the Bastion, I'm afraid. So why not tell each other stories to pass the time, right? But Zia, there's another reason I've been telling you all this. When the kid brings back that shard, the Bastion will be complete. This disease the Earth planted here will go away. Zealandia will be whole again. Everything will be back to normal. Everyone will be all right. Problem is, we'll all be gone. Oh, we're not gonna die. It's more like all of this will just stop. Things will go back to the way they used to be. That's the power of the Bastion. This whole place is a living record of the times before the Calamity. The way things were before this story. Good times, right? You'll be your old self again. Think of all those times that didn't go your way. All of life's little setbacks. Imagine if you could have another go at them. No mistakes. Anyone you've ever hurt. Everything you've ever done, you could do it over. And wouldn't that be grand? Wouldn't you agree? Well, I guess there's nothing more to say. Who am I kidding? Look. There's something else. A confession. You follow me? How come I know so much about the Bastion? Well, I designed the place, but that's beside the point. There's one problem with a place that sets things back to a bygone time. You can't test it. So you're probably wondering if the Calamity happened already. What's to stop it from happening again after the Bastion does its thing? The answer is... I don't know. wondering if there ain't some other way out of this mess. It's alright. I can tell. But why would you even want another way? Unless you wanted to stay here with us. Well, that's sweet and all, but I don't know if I can stick around. The weight of the Calamity, it's on our shoulders. We can't just let it go. Bastion does have another function, strictly speaking. If ever the monument blew out and we couldn't repair it, we could still evacuate. First, we'd round up as many folks as we could carry. Next, we'd detonate the cores, and we'd take off, away from here. That way, all of us could leave the city. Together. You know Zolf and his countrymen won't be giving up that shard without a fight, don't you? Zolf and the Ura. All they want now is to see the Bastion fall. Zolf dedicated his life to a lasting peace between the Ura and Zealandia. He can't have imagined the city would try to wipe the Ura out. Zolf ain't lost every shred of decency though, has he? He tried to warn you about his plans. He tried to warn the kid. For Zolf, this ain't a personal matter. One thing's for sure, the Ura can't be happy that the kid followed Zolf all the way home. I can see it now. The kid in one corner, then Zolf in the other. Ain't much of a fight. Don't you worry, though. Once the Bastion's restored, it'll all be alright. You ain't still thinking about that whole leaving the city thing, are you?
Are making way for me. I'm coming home, sweet burning for me. Mother, I'm here. Eyes open wide, feel your heart and it's glowing. I'm welcome home, sweet home.
Kid's probably dealt us off by now.
I take your hand.
It reminds me of myself when I was his age. I ever tell you about those days? Hey, kid. Get up, kid. Come on, that ain't funny. I say get up. That's more like it. Now, set that shard into the monument there. Then we'll talk. The Bastion. It's finally finished. Now, there's something I want you to see. Welcome to the heart of the Bastion. I ain't one for long goodbyes, so here's the deal. Zia and I figure you done the heavy lifting, so you get to do the honors. We can tell you how to work this thing if you got any questions.
You made it. So, let's see. You can either prevent the Calamity, or stick around with me and Rex. I'd hate to be in your shoes. If I could be any place I wanted, I'd stay right here. We could go anywhere in the world. Zolf tried to talk me into joining him. I tried to talk him out of it. I guess we both failed. When I finally found my people, I told them we could help. They just took me for a traitor. Glad you showed up. Any moment I'd want to live again happened after the Calamity, not before.
Hey, kid. You can undo the Calamity here and now. Go on, kid. And before I forget, thank you. Always wondered what the motherland was like. Not that it matters anymore. Zolf only brought more ruin to the Ura. No wonder they didn't take kindly to him. You've got one thing left to do, so you hang on to that badge. Besides, you earned it. Don't let anything you've done get to you. You can save all those creatures here and now. Oh, mother. And here I figured you'd had enough of me by now. You could have undone the Calamity itself. But instead you want to stay in a world like this. I gotta admit, kid, I ain't yet put much thought in that idea of carrying on with with you here. We can't go back no more. But I suppose we could go wherever we please. And if anyone's left out there, I sure would like to see the look on their faces when we dock this thing right on their doorstep. Getting ahead of myself, though. I'm gonna need a first mate. What do you say?
I set myself fly, the wind it will take me back to my home, sweet home. Lie on my back, fly to make it wait for me. I'm coming home, sweet.